Hey guys, it's Avengel and welcome back to Austria today. We're now testing out a brand new aircraft that's just dropped for Flight Sim, and this is like the last days of the 2020, let's be honest. And this is my first capture sim of the 2020 year. I had to do one, and this came out, and this interested me a lot more than the other releases. And arguably, the bar is low. There's not much to mess up with this one. We've had some bumpy releases in the past, and this is a wall of a hangar. So let's just quickly go into the third person, take a look around this one whilst we talk about it. And for those keen-eyed viewers amongst you, and those who read the title, you'll know this is the SPAD S.XIII. Now, this is a French World War I era fighter aircraft, developed by Société pour l'Aviation et ses dérivés, SPAD. Now, of course, very, very successful, developed from the earlier SPAD S.XIII, and during 1917, designer Louis Becheroux, he was basically spurred on by the obsolescence of the S.XIII, which had basically been really defeated by Central Powers aircraft. They'd shown it to be super, super inferior. They'd tried to increase compression on the SPAD S.XIIs, and it had improved some. They'd given it more horsepower, but it was really outclassed. And that was things like the Albatrosses coming from the Germans and the Central Powers, of course. So the SPAD S.XIII came along with much more performance. It had the newly geared version of the successful Hispano-Suiza 8A engine. It had a cannon armament at first, which sucked, a 37mm firing through the prop hub. It was regarded as bad, so they replaced it with a pair of Vickers or similar weapons up here on the top of the engine cowling. And it looks like a radial. It's not. This is actually a V8 engine in here. You Americans will be happy about that. And then we are using the American livery for this. We have a few included in it. But by the end of the First World War, the S.XIII equipped basically every single fighter squadron of the Aéronautique Militaire and the US Army Air Service and the Royal Flying Corps, which after April of 1918 was now the Royal Air Force. 8,500 of these were built. And I do have a bit of a soft spot for the odd World War I aircraft. So let's have a look around the outside. The outside looks pretty nice on this aircraft. Now, what we get from here, we have a high detail model, which is expected. 8K textures, useful. Certainly looks good for the close quarters of the leather and things in the textures here. Now, this cost me £15 from Sim Market, or €15 from Sim Market, and it's about $12.99 from their website, Captain Sim themselves. Now, we have wing and wheel damage, or wing and fuselage damage from the tablet here. We can do things like tie downs, we can turn on cargo stuff, body panels, missed bits and bobs at the gun ends. And we can turn on damage here, so we'll have a quick look around outside. And we now got, rather neatly, Takeoff panels, so you can see where those panels have been removed there. Those can be removed or replaced. We have damage to the actual surfaces, which is really, really neat to see. And very World War I of it, in fact. Come back from a mission like that. And the cargo, of course, is these various supply crates and cans. Nice bit of scenery for screenshots there. But, yes, of course, that gives us the noisy... Oh, they're not the noisy bits. Okay. I thought that was actually... That's a nice tweak for it not to be a weaponized aircraft in the sim. They look like a pair of Vickers, but they're Vickers-shaped cans that someone has stuck a pair of wine bottles on the end of. Clearly a very French aircraft with its wine caliber. Actually, what caliber is a wine cork? Stand by a second. I have one here on my desk. For no reason other than... don't question it, okay? This is not to be questioned. I have a wine cork, and I really want to find a ruler. Because this is very important now, and it has become all-impressing that I know the answer to this. And I really should have actually had a ruler, but I don't have one. And I have a tape measure. We're okay. We have a tape measure. Messes everywhere. Okay, a wine cork is, in fact... 20mm. So this has been upgunned. So yes, we have been upgunned. It's a 20mm version here of the SPAD S.XIII, which of course is fantastic. Definitely going to have better performance against the Germans. The Bosch, of course, of the First World War. Let's remove all these various functions and features here, and we'll talk through the startup and we'll go take her for a quick fly. So we need to put our air pumps down to open. I think the air pump needs to go down to the bottom there. And we need to go to our fuel tank down there. Max and alternator on. Nice and simple. Crack the throttle here. Mags on, sorry, mixture on there. We've got our compass down here. Detailing's quite nice in the cockpit, actually, I must admit. And I can take the oil cap off, which is kind of cool. Nice little, neat little feature. Very well made inside. No performance things I can see at all. So rather good, but hard to mess something this simple up. And starter here. And that is our starter. That is us started up and good to go in our little SPAD. Sounds are very rickety, but this is exactly what these things kind of sounded like. So what we should expect realistically. Now we have a tail skid here, so I'm going to have to try and turn this with some rudder. And I don't actually have toe brakes, do I? I think the Sim variant actually has toe brakes functioning to make your life easier. It does, and I can actually... I don't think the real one actually had toe brakes. There's no actual brakes down there. So this is me guesstimating. Oh boy, this is going to be ground handling fun. We would have had guys to do this for us, wouldn't we? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Y. Because I'm feeling really lazy here. We would have had people to position ourselves here on the runway. Now I could use the grass. I'm going to use the grass. Because the grass is actually a runway here. For gliders. Is this the bit of runway? No, this is the bit of runway here. This here is actually technically runway for the gliders. So we'll use this as it is appropriate. And I've stopped the engine for some reason there, so let's get that started again. Are you not going to start for me? You should start for me. There we go. Okay, throttle is opening. Now we did a whole whopping 150 horsepower on this, which is completely crazy, of course. Uncontrollably powerful. And that was a piece of road. But grass feels more authentic to take off than asphalt. Not super powerful, but we are climbing up in fact. Now this thing could get up to about a max speed of 114 knots around sea level. Up to 100 knots at 20,000 feet. And yes, this could get to 20,000 feet. One of its biggest advantages was being able to dive down on enemy aircraft and actually attack from above. So she could actually get surprisingly high altitude. Can I turn this around in this tighter space? We'll find out here. That's Hofen in Austria. We're just south of the border. And Germany to our north. We'll be flying to Füssen just up the valley here. Mostly because I know that's a grass field. And I feel more appropriate flying a World War I aircraft out of a grass field. It just feels right somehow. And we get to see Neuschwanstein Castle as well, of course, and there's one off to our right, and I've forgotten his name. It's just beyond that ridgeline ahead of us, just off our left wing there. It'll give us a few minutes to take this for a little bit of a spin. Now, I'm not expecting a dramatically powerful aircraft. It's not. It's a World War I fighter. And, well, honestly, the aircraft received great acclaim. It was a very successful aircraft in what it did. It helped the Allied forces to really turn the tide, and thankfully, at this point of the war, the Allies were doing pretty well. Well, the Allied forces, I should say. The Central Powers, of course, you know, Austria, Germany, and Austria-Hungary. Well, Austria-Hungary and Germany, I should say. As the Central Powers had been having the upper edge in the air war, but it was aircraft like the SPADs that helped to change it, along with the Sopwith Dolphins that decided to come in for the Royal Air Force at the very, very end. Although I think the Dolphin was coming a bit late, actually. I think it was more of a pending arrival. Because it came in February, actually, yes. First flight was in May of 17. So Dolphin was a very, yes, early 1918 was Dolphin. And that was very formidable as an aircraft. And of course, the Americans had entered at this point, so things were getting a little bit hairy. Once the Americans get involved, you know things are all going to go sideways. And notably very important. The SPAD, though, being a French design, obviously hugely important to the French Armée de l'Air, or at the time, I should say, whatever it's called there. I forgot what they actually named it. It was the Aéronautique Militaire, rather than the Armée de l'Air later on. But yeah, this was favoured amongst many of the actual nation's various aces, from the Americans, the British and Commonwealth forces, and the French. It was a successful and very nimble aircraft. Now, we can't obviously tell if this could be an authentic flight model. I have no way of telling you if this is accurate or correct. But she's not bad. She's a fun aircraft to fly. And relatively nimble enough. We can have a bit of a flippy doodle around. Well, if you can't do some loop-de-loops and rolls in a French World War I biplane, when can you do them? Wonder what it's like from the cockpit, shall we see? Power here. It would be a gravity car, but I don't want to stay outside too long. That, of course, will mean my engine shuts off, and I don't want that. Mirrors don't work, of course, as flight sim. Maybe that'll change one day, who knows? That's not actually an actual reflection, that's just a global cube map we're seeing there. The rear edge of the wing looks a little bit fluffy. I'm not sure if that's meant to be authentic or not, but it looks very chunky up there. Now, it's entirely plausible that's how thick it was. In fact, looking at some pictures just now... No, it was relatively thick. Okay, the trailing edge was actually relatively chunky on the SPAD. So not implausible. No Schwansteins over there. To our right. Of course, I could have flown something out of Belgium or France, but I didn't have any particularly appropriate sceneries, and I've only had stock scenery there. And I knew I had at least 1 or 2 grass runways in this area, so I came here. It's where I tend to do a lot of my World War II aircraft and World War I stuff, just because I know I have Fusen off to our left here, which is always useful. Now this one, with the 1 on it, is actually a particular aircraft. This is actually currently in the National Museum of the US Air Force in Ohio. One of the few reasons to actually go to Ohio, of all things, because this is the aircraft belonging to Captain Eddie Reichenbacher. Or Rickenbacker. His name is not Reichenbach, it's Rickenbacker. It could be Rickenbacker. It might not even be pronounced that way. I'm getting a little bit ahead of the cart here. But either way, from the 94th Aero Squadron of the United States Army Air Service. There we go, that's the word we're looking for. There's Schwanstein over there. There's Fusen, the town. And the strip will be just below us there. There it is. Should be a nice easy approach and landing here. Now it says some of them had a single synchronized Vickers machine gun, but later models I do believe had more than 1. And if I look down towards our information we have on this in the specifications here, weaponry including 2 Vickers machine guns, or 2 of the Marlin M7 1917s or 1918 machine guns in the hands of the Americans. So there is that. And it could carry 4 25-pound bombs, the Cooper bombs, so there was always that angle too. So if you're into that kind of thing, you can pretend. Right. Festspielhaus down there. Okay, and here's the field below us there. So we'll come back along the pattern here, we'll turn around and we'll make our approach. It's a little bit dippy here, I'm not quite used to this. I've never landed this before. So you're going to join me for my first ever landing in the SPAD. I'm going to whiff this, probably. I will not profess this with any excuses, I will just do it and we'll see what happens. It's a World War I aircraft, it should fly relatively slowly. I will say, it is made nicely. There's no modern concessions in here, so there's no GPSs, no radios or transponders, so VATSIM will probably yell at you, if they even get you on radar cross-section. But it is vintagely World War I, including its 20mm wine cannons. I'll give them credit. In terms of aircraft that don't include weapons, because they're probably going to go on the marketplace, and I guarantee this will go on the marketplace, I like this as one of the best options for a non-weapon equipped option, because it's at least funny, and I'll give them credit for that. Now I want to see an AC-130 variant of their C-130 with a Nerf Gatling cannon sticking out the side. Make it happen. If they make a Nerf Gatling cannon equipped AC-130 variant, I will purchase it and I will review it. My hat is doffed to you there, Captain Sim. The ball is now in your court. Also, instead of the 120mm howitzer, you can put like a bicycle honky horn, like a ha 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 one. You know, the squeezy bubble ones. The ha ha. You know the type I mean. I'm not making the honking sound sound like a duck at 1 in the morning in my house. Okay. I'm so off target, my gosh. It's okay, it's World War One. There's no such thing as a traffic pattern yet, we're fine. We can just fly anywhere we want. We can just call it a special tactical approach. This is what happens when I'm making honking sounds rather than flying the aeroplane. There's always flipping something with me, isn't there? Don't prang the kite. One rule, don't prang the kite. Careful of the brakes, because this will probably throw my CG forward and I'll end up pranging the kite. Do not prang the kite. Of course, my ability to steer is next to 0 here, so we're stopping where the plane wants to stop. I have basically no braking or steering. This is fantastic. Nothing works. Obviously it's World War One. I have a stick for my tail. Outside here. Look, see? Oh, there we go. That's the wine bottles have been removed. Apparently they fell off in flight. But down here is a literal stick. You can't see it because we're in grass, but if I was to go like this, you wouldn't see it either because it's stuck in the grass now. You know what? I will move us to somewhere where it's... There we go. Asphalt. Yeah, see, that's a stick. You can't really steer with that. And as you can tell here, no brakes, no differential braking. It's just wheels. You'd have some guys at the back who would literally pick your tail up and turn you around. That's how this thing would operate. It is neat. It is a very cool aeroplane. I don't see a pilot in there, which is quite unusual. Even with the engine on. Excuse me. Oh no, I am in there when the engine is on. When the engine's off, I'm not in there. So that's interesting. And my ponytail clips through the back, but that's fine. So the Captain Sim SPAD. It is very French. It is, I was thinking of doing the entire review in a bad French accent, but I refrained from it, mostly because I forgot. But I will do it another time if you wish me to do so. And I don't want to offend every single person watching this. I'm already working through the Russians, of course. But it's a nicely built little plane. It's cheap, it's fun, and it's worth a crack. Yeah. Recommend. If only for the 20mm wine cork launcher. Thanks for watching. Bye.